new sustainability paradigm variant sees globalization not only as a threat, but also as an opportunity to construct new categories of consciousness, global citizenship, humanity as a whole, the wider web of life and well-being of future generations, alongside a governance structure that balances the twin goals of global unity and regional pluralism. In other words, this thing, I know the stuff we talk sounds not out there, but when we started this stuff over a decade ago, it seemed like, no, it was actually almost 2 decades ago, because that one on, that new global optimism and somewhere over the rainbow and all that stuff, that sounds like fairy tales. Well, that's what the song says. Somewhere over the rainbow, dreams come true, something like somewhere I heard in a lullaby, like a fairy tale. Well, that's what the stuff that we talked about then, this stuff here, sounded like an unrealistic approach to a real world that we're confronted with. But it don't sound like that now, you know what I mean? In other words, people are catching up. We shooting on ahead, but we have to stay back. If we don't stay relevant, we'll become like Dick Gregory. And I have in my notes, avoid Dick Gregoryism. Dick Gregory, until I heard the Malcolm tapes, the Malcolm 30 lectures, you ever hear him? He mentioned, Dick Gregory talks in there, 1964. The guy was right about it. All the stuff he was saying, but after a while, he's kind of out there a ways. Right? Yeah, Dick kept on going. Yeah, he didn't, I heard him talk about lipstick, lipstick mean this, that, and that. I said, that's fine, but it's out there. It's not functional. You know what I mean? So, those radio shows too that they had when I came here, whatever that radio station used to be right down there on the corner. WOL, all of them. I was shocked when I got here at first. I said, man, they got black radio stations where people call in, they talk about this, they talk about that. Till I listened for a while, I said, man, this is a release valve. All the people call in and just talking. They're talking. And for them, talking is movement. You should have heard last night some Negroes, doctors, something or other, and all that. I said, hey man, I'm glad we do what we do. Now, they did tons of research on different migration periods, the migration of the 1910s, and what that happened, and kind of where we are now. And they won't do nothing, they can't do nothing, and they're not even prepared to do anything but talk. Okay, let me speak up a little bit. Because remember, I'm saying all this to invite my dear family. Yeah, you can't hide now. Look here, you can't run away. Look, what do y'all want from your dear relative? We knock Oakland over so slick, it's unbelievable. Right? People still don't believe it. And this was because East Oakland Enterprises wanted to rise the whole environment up. We did. Remember all them niggas that was driving Cadillacs? Everybody had a Cadillac. Everybody that wanted one had one. And if they didn't have one, remember I used to go buy niggas brand new Cadillacs. Now, how many people you know do that? Tell the truth. Go buy people, brand new. Y'all know it. Everybody there knows that. And there's some you didn't even know that I bought for people. Right? And remember I was in my 20s then. Early 20s. This stuff is, so we did the Black National, everything that Malcolm talked about, we did, and we was fortunate enough to live in Oakland, not Chicago and New York. Oakland was just the right size, to pull that off. Everybody see it, everybody know it, and it okay. But then, remember, how many people survived Boss Man? When Boss Man, y'all thought he had me trapped in the corner, I just run off. All the way over there. Not to Mexico or Canada. No, indeed. I said, I'm getting away from Boss Man. And I'm going where Boss Man reached. It's not there. The only thing, I learned more about Boss Man by learning more about colonialism. And guess what? I learned that Boss Man was over there too. All hands on deck. Boss Man was there. Then maybe a little time in Europe, Scandinavia, but think about it. Think about South America. How many Negroes do you know, I don't know any, went to South America and established the first drug smuggling cartel? Remember when my partner went by and got some money from your dear grandfather or father and brought it down to me? And everybody that came down to visit me got rich. Remember? Rich. They was richer coming down there to see me than I was when I was here. Instantaneous rich. One of my partners that brought the money, I talked to him for 30 days. We walked in the hills, his box. And I gave him the game. See, then I was a godfather. I had the game down pat. Because see, remember, I went out first. They got the first Negro that did this, first Negro. Well, I'm the first one that did a functional Black nationalist program. Not the first, the only one. Let's get in there and look at the cities. Where did this happen? Where else did this happen except in Oakland? But they don't talk about it. They talk about the Black Panther Party in Oakland. Now, y'all's in Oakland. Who was they talking about? Us or the Black Panthers? And what did the Black Panthers look like? Us. Why? Because half of them had been in the Panther Party, and they knew that this is blacker than the Black Panthers. This is black, right? Because you get black and you eat and you drive and you resting and dressing. Hey, you go out to the party, but anyway, would you turn the cool on jazz a little bit? Anyway, so y'all remember what happened. Okay. So I was telling my partner, just don't do this, don't do that. This is how you get big and stay big. Don't buy no fancy clothes, don't buy no fancy, look, we just call it under, just be under. Because I was a boy, I had all these cars. I said, now that's all right for getting fanfare and becoming a target, but don't you do it. And the first time it went well. Second time it went well. Third time it started getting a little funny. By the fourth time, hey, how's everything? Well, da-da-da-da-da-da. So, I used to call it no saberitas. Remember I told you I had a medical dictionary? And you know how niggas make up stuff. I said the people in Oakland have a new disease. It's called no saberitas. You know, savage and no. I said every time I call them, the niggas say, I don't know. It's a new disease. No saberitas, because I was making it up. But you gotta have fun in life or you're gonna go crazy. No, if people sticking at you, cutting at you, trying to blow you up every day, all the time, if you don't have a sense of humor, hey man, you're gonna quit. So anyway, I said, one of my friends, the main one, when we talk, my son's on the phone anytime, they say, yeah, Dad, I'm on the big end now. Because my favorite friend that got super rich, he sent word back to me, he said, tell so-and-so I'm on the big end now. In other words, he's on the big end. He's there in Oakland. And of course, just to be brief, after he got cut off, he swam around for about a year, and then he's fat broke. He don't even have a car now. He had a car in 30, 40 years. You know, but he was on the big end. In other words, I'm on the big end now. What was the big end? This woman went and brought a brand new Jag. He brought a Vet, Jetson, all kind of cars. You know, he went down to Eastmont Mall and bought a 5-carat diamond ring out of the store. You know, so I said, boy, the Negro is really something. But here's the point. It was so funny because people don't understand what they're looking at. In fact, y'all ask your uncle, my brother. Ask him when he came down to visit me in Mexico, where was he staying and where was I staying? Now this one, I'm rich now. This is doing all this stuff. I'm rich actually. But I done got stingy. I'm staying, you know, I done learned the lessons. So I lived in not the cheapest hotel, but almost, you know what I mean? And dear, whoever he was staying at the Ramada downtown, oh, it's big fancy. And I'm the one getting everybody the money. So my family member was looking at me like I was looking. And he actually thought, because I was sending messages up there, we need people to do this, we need people to do that, he thought that they was taking all the money and I wasn't getting nothing back, and that I was basically broke. It was exactly opposite of that. Because you do so much good business that you can afford, or the Negro losses, you can afford them. Shoot, we were supplying blow up to New York, and all the big Negroes in New York, they didn't even know they was getting it from another Negro. They thought they was getting it from somebody else. But anyway, so my relatives looks at me, and I'm talking to I think he's drinking either Hennessy or something. Some expensive. He said, well, if it get too bad, you could go out on the beach and start begging. I don't know how much money I had in the room. It was ridiculous. I just came back from Africa. You know what I mean? It was evident to anybody that was thinking, maybe he was just drinking. Well, you know, if it get bad, he ain't saying if you get bad, I'm up in America, I'll send you a few $100s. In those days, you could last for 10 years in Mexico. You know what I mean? Ain't saying that. He's just saying you can beg. You could go out on the beach and beg like a beach bum. So I'm saying that to say all of my family have made a wrong decision compared with me. You've accepted the white man's story of me, not the real story. You've accepted the white man has been here. The white man, when you come out of the university and college, they got a pamphlet joined up the FBI. And so you think that the white man, y'all have been studying and you've been watching my whole life and you have been mistaken in what you are seeing. What I'm telling you is the whole life has been evolution. all of it. From them little kiddie pens. I was in the kiddie penitentiary so I could learn the system. When you, just like you've been in the Army since the time you was a baby, you not going to be scared of the Army later on, right? So if I've been in these little jails, all one institution is the same. If you're in the Navy, if you're in the Air Force, right? If you're in the Army, you're part of an institution. In fact, they could change you over to one and you wouldn't miss a step. The institutions, institutionalization, they think it's bad for some people. That means institutionalized. It wasn't bad for me. Institutionalized means I have never been afraid of boss man. I just haven't been afraid of him because he even had me in his penitentiary all the time, and I just have not been afraid of him. We used to fight him all the time. That's why I never come back home in time. I get 6 months and I come back home 2 years later as a kid because messing up in the white man's jail. But you got to think about it. What I'm learning there is necessary for me. It's training me, it's teaching me. Why? If I'm making a fool out of the white man in jail, he has to send me to the hole, to segregation, to adjustment center, to isolation all the time. And there, you're by yourself. And you learn good lessons. You know, the way you want to get people in line, isolate them, kick them out of the community, right? They was doing that for 100,000 years. If you exile somebody from the society, right, in fact, that's part of Islam. They exile them from the society for a year, you know, maybe keep you lashes, stuff like that. Okay, that straightens people up. Suppose you get put in a hole over and over again, it has no effect on you. You learn how to live in isolation. You learn how to appreciate isolation. And the best thing is you learn how to appreciate yourself. That's the difference between all you have to remember. Everybody else is gone. You gotta look, there are no heroic Negroes left. They're either in jail or dead, right? But they didn't run everybody off. And the brothers, my friends that come out of jail after 35 or 40 years are not prepared to do this. They didn't have enough. That's not bad. What y'all did or are doing now is not bad, it's normal. It's normal for people to cooperate with a system. It's absolutely normal. What else are you going to do, right? The only thing is that when it comes time to evolve, are you ready to evolve? That's what I'm asking. I want y'all to participate. We need to evolve in organization, in structure, in discipline. And what do we think about it? We've been thinking about it all along. It's no accidents that we just popped up and got lucky. Let me find a few things here. This is old to-do list, 2009. As 11 years ago. That's a while back. This is the outline we should have: strategic management under conditions of repression. I'm going to just read a few things. First of all, there's the saying. It says Allah, I treat my bondsman according to his expectation of me, and I am with him when he remembers me. So the first sentence of this tradition suggests that a slave of Allah receives a treatment from him according to his expectation. This is what Allah said, I treat my servant according to what he expects. If, for example, he is hopeful of Allah's mercy and kindness, he will find himself merciful and kind. A Muslim should therefore entertain hope for the best from Allah and mold his life accordingly. Now, number one is 2009. move to becoming a $150 million organization within 10 years. That is, about January 2019. This is to be achieved with absolutely no dealings in Reba or per our policy since the time of our humble beginnings. We currently own and operate close to 15 million in our property now. You gotta remember, the property in Oakland that we own, and the property here. The other property, at this time, we had about 7 or 8 functional Masjid. But the one here and the one in Oakland was the only one that we kept as own. The other brothers and all of them was operating the way they, basically not the way they wanted, but we didn't put no stress on them because we knew who they was. Now, act in a heroic level, remain optimistic, hopeful, and focused. Exercise transformational leadership, transform ourselves, transform others, train followers to become leaders. Keep in mind, this is number 4, your habits will determine your future. This applies to individuals, organizational, and communities. I want to go back to this one. Becoming a $150 million organization within 10 years. Why would we say something like this? And we're 1 year past that. But how are we going to get that kind of money? Well, just think what has happened since then. Suppose we sue the government. I got to remember all the stuff they did. We don't have to hit pay dirt on all of them. All we have to do is hit pay dirt on some of it, right? Suppose we don't get nothing, but we have writers, editors, and who will make the same thing in books and literatures, right? And exposure. We will have exposed the system because our goal all the time was to bail the cat. Our goal all the time, when we surrounded and boxed in, you can tell us, we're surrounded and boxed in. Our goal is to bail the cat, to tell all the other Muslims